Hey, I want to welcome our viewers to Kennesaw Happenings podcast. And we have in the studio somebody that is really making an impact on the digital transformation. And we thought we would hear from Drew and just give us a little update and give us a little insight into the challenges that businesses are being faced today as the world changed pretty recently. So I want Drew to introduce himself, who he's with, and who he serves, and then we'll get into a little bit of talk about it. Okay.
All right. Pete, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, I'm Drew Tonsmeire. I serve as the Area Director of the University of Georgia Small Business Development Center at Kennesaw State. That's a long title, but it's the SBDC as we're known. We have 18 centers across the state of Georgia, about 1,000 SBDCs across the country. And I'm just one of our local service centers. So being at Kennesaw State, I've got the connections of two powerful universities, University of Georgia one side and Kennesaw State on the other.
That's sandwiched between two big titans. So do you ever feel squeezed between the two of them?
Yeah, you do sometimes, but at the same time, you've also got a lot of resources to tap into. So, and I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 28 years. So kind of gotten used to being squeezed, so to speak.
Right.
But I've also just looked at the advantages. It's easy for me to work in there. Knowing Kennesaw State, my mom went to Kennesaw State, my son went to Kennesaw State. I've been in Kennesaw State for 21 of those 28 years.
Right.
So I saw Kennesaw State go from a junior college with 2,000 students to the largest university in the state with 46,000 students. So we've seen a transformation.
Yeah, that's what you call growth there. Yes. I know when we met years ago, and you actually, before COVID, you were on our university, KBA University, which we were going to bring education to more people in the community. And then COVID hit, and that kind of put a damper on those live events. But now things are getting a little bit more back to normal. What would you say, and I know you as, I don't even know, I think they call you like Mr. Google, because when you look at Google, they kind of do a fair amount in the internet space. And so businesses now are being faced to figure out, how does the internet work with their business? What would you say as you see people every day? What are some of the popular one or two challenges that you see with small businesses?
Well, I think the first way is how you're going to connect up to the outside world. That's through a website. Websites have a life, meaning they're useful for about 3 to 5 years, and then you kind of have to redo them. And you might redo them in the same platform, or sometimes it's time for a new platform to work in, whether it be WordPress or Wix or Square or Squarespace or Shopify. Things change. And so you have to change with the times of, how am I going to connect with the public the easiest way? And that's, again, through the World Wide Web.
So if somebody comes to you, like, how do you help them in their business? What's your staff? What do they do to really assist small business?
Well, when you talk about education, that's really the purpose of the SBDC. That's why we're affiliated with universities. So we educate our local businesses in two formats. One is we offer training programs. We do mostly webinars. That's again a COVID effect, but we do have some in-person events, and there we're doing education. We want people to take the knowledge that we have and use it within their business to help them become more profitable. That's really what we're after. The other way we do this is that one-on-one consulting that is absolutely no charge. This is a tax-paid service. Our funding comes from Congress. It flows to the U.S. Small Business Administration, then flows to the University of Georgia, and then locally it flows to Kennesaw State. So there is no cost. We do charge for our training, and I'll tell you the main reason why we charge for our training: get people to show up.
Yep.
And also to put a little bit of value on that training. But the other thing that happens is taking the time. And so when we're working with business owners, and it's every stage from startup to growth to succession planning to retirement, we're working with business owners all the time. So one of our biggest challenges, everybody goes, "Oh, small business development center, y'all work with new businesses." And Actually, that's the smallest number that we work with. We're actually working with businesses that are growing. And so the challenges of growth are actually more complicated than the challenges of starting.
Right.
So I tell everybody, the easiest thing you'll do is start a business. The hardest thing you'll do is keep it open.
Yep. What do you think now? Like if you had to put your finger on a reason people go out of business, what would you say in your experiences has it been?
Probably what we see is not focusing on your core. This is football season, and so you'll hear coaches. It's all about the fundamentals, and business is the same way. It's tackling the fundamentals. Do it extraordinarily well. I point to the largest restaurant in the world is McDonald's. McDonald's is not number one because of their great food. It is their operations and how good they are at repeating the same function over and over again. That's what makes them successful. And a lot of businesses can learn some examples from McDonald's of being consistent, having a product that doesn't have to be great, but you've got to meet expectations. And if you take care of those core, that usually take care of itself. Where people get off is when they're doing more than one thing. They're trying to do multiple things to please multiple offers. Is take care of your core. Understand who your customers are, and then work that core.
That's a great advice. I don't have to tell our viewers that. They know that. What do you say? Like I had a person on yesterday, and she's a social media expert, and we got into the question of video. How do you think video is impacting small businesses today?
It's probably the biggest change that's happened. It is actually COVID changed a lot of that. When we were isolated, we turned to our computers and we started watching more videos. Actually, YouTube usage went up 30% during the COVID times, and it hasn't slowed down. And so I tell people all the time, people rather watch information than read it. And that's one of the things that's just kind of changed.
Yep.
And what that provides for a small business is the content that we have that's written. It means we also add video to that same content, not substitute, but add it. And so there's a lot of ways that we can include video on our websites. Great way of introducing your company, introducing your products, showing demonstrations, doing how-to videos, or simple ways to do it. And, the funny thing is most of us have these expensive cameras right on our hips.
Yep.
And so you don't have to have an expensive camera. You don't have to have expensive equipment. A smartphone, one little trick of the trade is a good microphone, like we have, is that's the secret. It's the audio that's in the video that is the key.
And that validates what Celeste said yesterday. And she talked about she's seen a transition on LinkedIn from written articles to videos. And I guess everybody's noticing this, but how it's getting optimized more for the video part than it used to be for the written part. So do you see something on the LinkedIn profile, which are, business to business? What have you seen in your eyes?
Well, you've got a new platform that's kind of happened with TikTok. That's all video based.
Right.
You've got Facebook and Instagram that now have Reels, which is a fancy word for video. And so video is taking over. And actually, I found out from one of my colleagues at Kennesaw State who operates the Brain Lab. I said, why is video so much better than written content? And she had a great explanation for this. Is, again, we're going to take some university knowledge and apply it works. But your brain has, hemispheres that are in here. The front hemisphere is logic and where we process language. The back hemisphere is motion of how we maintain balance and work with that. And when you read, you're using your front. But when you have video, you're using both. Both hemispheres of your brain. And so that's why it's a little bit more engaging, because it's words, it's process, it's movement, it's balance. That makes so much sense.
Yes.
Of why video is a little bit more engaging. And we've had a lot of practice. We watch TV. We go to the movies. Right. We've incorporated video into our normal life. It's just that now we can have video anywhere, anytime, on any device.
Wow. It's never been explained to me that way. So I think our viewers can understand how the brain works. And if you're operating more than one senses, it's going to be good. What would you say your department, how are y'all helping businesses with video? Is there some, do you guide them and point them in a different direction? I mean, not a different direction, a direction they can learn?
Well, a lot of times it's always, what is their situation? So there's not a silver bullet. There's not a one size fits all. So when we're working with our small business owners, really on that individual basis, understanding their capabilities, understanding their resources, understanding where they want to go, then we're helping them develop that plan. And if they don't have a website going, let's get the website before we get the video. Let's take it one step at a time. Mm-hmm. But it's just going, how do we do this? Your first video is always the hardest. The 10th video is going to be much easier, but you got to go through one to get to 10.
Yes. So besides video, what mistakes do you see a lot of businesses make? Let's just go to not the startup, because that's so crazy at a startup phase. Let's say they're 2 years in. What mistakes do you commonly see people making 2+ years in?
Well, I think it's not a mistake. It's just not taking advantage of what's there or really understanding. So one of the things that we look at is look at your customers. One of the things that we always look at is going, you don't serve all, you're going to serve some. Mm-hmm. And it's understanding who that some is. Are they male? Are they female? Are they over 55? Are they under 35? Is trying to develop a little bit more of a consumer concept. And this is true B2B. As I remind people, there's really no such thing as business to business. It's business to people. You are always still going to deal with a person. So far, the AI might change some things. Yeah. But who is this person? What do they like? What do they want? What are their goals? What is the purpose for their purchase? Because a B2B purchase has a different reason than a B2C or business to consumer purchase. And so understanding who is your customer, what is their motivation, what is their time frame, what is their risk involved? The more you understand your customer, it becomes easier to market. For instance, if you were trying to market to, say, females over 45, is then you start going, okay, what's the right social media platform? It's not all platforms. Right. Is predominantly Facebook versus Instagram versus TikTok versus LinkedIn. Or if I was trying to target the purchasing managers of, say, Fortune 500 companies, then that might be a LinkedIn type one. And one of the things that we've just said is there are hundreds of social media platforms that are out there. You can't be good at all of them. You actually can't be good at 5 of them. You can really be good at 1 or 2. And so we say, pick your battles. Is where's your customer? Then market to them on that social platform. And some of them may not even be, social media may not even be the right platform.
Right. You mentioned in your answer, AI. So it's easy to chase silver objects. What should a business think about when all of a sudden we're getting AI this, AI that? And actually this morning in my Google search, it came up with, you want to be on the waiting list for Google's AI. So share with our viewers, like, what your thoughts are on AI.
Well, AI, that stands for artificial intelligence. We used to call it machine learning. And so the name has just kind of evolved and changed. What's changed is some of our big technical companies were using AI. We now have platforms where the average person can use them, such as ChatGPT. And so that's kind of one of the more common platforms because it's now become accessible for that. The challenge is going, AI is not a substitute. It is a tool to use. For instance, what we suggest is of using like ChatGPT is if you're wanting to update some content on your website, is it can read it, and then it can reread it, and then it can reread it, and then it can reread it. And then what you want to do is take that content and customize it. Don't cut and paste. Is you need to have it customized, because that ChatGPT, actually the data is what's available from March of 2021 earlier. So things that are like 2 years old, ChatGPT is not including in its analysis.
Well, that's good advice. I mean, I think we get bombarded by things, but we don't know how it can apply to our business. And, you said earlier that, keeping your eye on the main thing and just, not being focused on 100 platforms, but focus on one and then your customer base. What would you, if you had to take yourself and your organization, your department out 5 years? I know that's a long time, especially in the technology that's evolving, but I always knew of you as Mr. Google, and so technology is affecting everything. How can we prepare ourselves, and how far should we look down the road?
Well, I'm going to go back to the website. Here's an easy way of using AI in a website. There are things called chatbots. And if you've ever gone to a website and that little pop-up comes up and says, how can I help you? And they start asking you questions. Most of the time, that is an AI interface. And actually, small businesses can utilize those same interfaces. Some of these platforms, that chat function is free. And so you could actually have live chat that you as a business owner are responding, 9 to 5, but after 5, you turn on the AI chat button so it can actually provide that service. And now you're 24/7 and not just limited to your operating hours. So it's little things like that. Is the chatbot function is actually kind of old now. Right. And most businesses, especially if they're an e-commerce business, they have that in there. It's just that I encourage all businesses, look into this, look into your platform, see if there is a chatbot function to work with it, and just see that is an easy way of kind of stepping up, and it creates a 24/7 customer service outlet.
That's very good advice. I want you to comment on this, because I won't mention any names, but we had a guest on, and when I went to look for the website to grab some information for the podcast, I noticed he didn't have one, and he was using Facebook as his primary way he was communicating. Share with our viewers, how can that hurt the business, and what are the opportunities there?
How I describe people's businesses, we talk about a homepage, and what you envision is you're coming in the front door and you kind of go that way. What I tell people is actually you're in a hallway, and it's a hallway with doors. And so you want to create more than one doorway for people to get into your business. So Facebook is a doorway. Your website is a doorway. Your email is a doorway. So there are multiple doorways that you want to create, because not everybody's the same. I am a digital person, but I'm not active on Facebook. I kind of know some things about Facebook, and I'm going, I don't want to share my privacy that way. Right. I understand what Google is doing into that, and it offers convenience. Before I leave every day, I get a pop-up that says, hey, it's 23 minutes home. Or, hey, you might want to take an alternate way home because you've got that. Understand that's AI at work. It has learned my schedule that is in there. So understand you're going to give up some privacy with this, but you're also going to get some convenience that goes along with it.
So it sounds like you got to balance those out.
Right.
I mean, you have to individually, you have to say, what do I want to give away for what am I going to get?
And it gets back to, you got to be on the platform your customers are, not where you are. It's not where you feel comfortable. So that person that only has the Facebook page, and I encounter this all the time. Restaurants are notorious for this. And I remind them, says, I'm a digital person. I'm not on Facebook. You are missing me as a customer. And there's certain things I expect to be able to get, like at a restaurant going, I expect your menu to be there. I expect your menu to be updated. I expect that I can order outside your door and then pick up or have it ready at my door. And some restaurants had to adopt that to COVID. Very commonly, we saw QR codes being used, which was been a very, very slow adoption in the U.S. It's prevalent everywhere else in the world. But QR codes is another technology one that where you kind of got used to it. Your phones automatically will read a QR code and then open up whatever site or display that QR code is tied to. So that technology has been around. Other countries have adopted it much more quickly than we have.
Well, it's kind of crazy that we're behind on that technology to other countries, but everything is adapting to different things. As we wind down, would you let us, our viewers, know how they can get a hold of you and how they can, understand more of the services that are available to them?
Again, the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, our state website is www.georgiaspdc.org. Georgia spelled out, SBDC.org. That connects all of our centers together. So you can click on our locations tab and find any one of our 18 service centers. Or if you do a Google search of Kennesaw State University SBDC, we will be the first thing that will pops up, because that is going to be that map profile that we have. Within that, you can email us at kennesaw@georgiaspdc.org, or just simply call us. We still take phone calls. Is 470-578-6450. Again, we offer a free one-on-one consulting to small business owners, and we have a large array of classes. Again, you get connected through our website to see not only our classes at Kennesaw, but also our other 17 other centers that have the same kind of classes or different classes. And a lot of these are on webinars, so you could be anywhere. And that's one of the things we discovered when we switched over, and our center had been pretty progressive. We had already been online, doing online classes, doing online consulting. In fact, that's probably the biggest change that's happened for us. We used to see our clients face to face. Well, this is Atlanta traffic. And so when you give people the option of, can you meet me by Zoom? Can you meet me by Teams? We're happy to accommodate that. And that's just been one of the, to me, one of the great changes that's happened is being able to adopt that. But it's our clients that were able to adopt that. Everybody has been on a Zoom meeting. They've been on a team meeting. So this is not a new technology. Right. You got 2 years of practice. So we can handle meeting with folks anywhere, anytime.
Wow, that's good. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate you taking the time, because I know the busy schedule you have, and to be able to share with our viewers the insights, and really for our viewers to take advantage of really what's available right under our nose here in Kennesaw, and actually around, you've already explained how the other part works, but we always like to have our guests leave our viewers with an insight. So I'm just gonna ask you, is there something you would like our business owners and our viewers to leave you with?
Go back to always do the basics well, is understand your customers, try to connect with them where they are, and they will move, but you got to be where they are, communicating in the language that they use, not the language that you use. That's why your website is using their language, not necessarily your industry language. The more you do that, the easier it is to connect and create those doorways. Create more than one way into your company, because it's a complex world, and it's going to keep continuing to be complex. So the more doorways, the better it is for your business.
I love that. We might have that as a quote that we put out there. The more doorways, the better. And I think that just, the online world becomes complicated if we make it, but it's really just the doorway that we walk into a regular brick and mortar. Exactly. And go through, those doors to find out what's in that room, this room. Well, we want to thank you, Drew, for being on Kennesaw Happenings and sharing some of your insights with our viewers, because business is not getting easier, it's getting more competitive. And so you have to know what your resources are and encourage our viewers to take advantage of what you offer through your services and through your the Small Business Administration. Thank you so much, Drew. We appreciate it. And we'll have you back to comment on some of the new developments if you're open.
Sure. Love to do that.
Okay.